The climbing rose knows no bounds. It shares its beautiful bounty with all. Those rushing by may feel its thorns, but those who pause will be held in thrall. Greetings, beloveds. This is Amy Caryn Johnson, the Earth Channel, here with you today with the 8th and final part of an 8-part series about the gates of the Diamond Heart Center. This one is the 13th gate, and I have, as you might already guess, chosen the climbing rose to represent it. I think it does a great job of that. And this gate is associated with the Pagan Holiday of Imbolc, also known as St. Bridget's Day. Also, this is where Groundhog Day came from. And this year, it's aligning pretty well. The 13th gate is where the sun will be, at least early in the day in my time zone, on February 2nd, when this holiday is usually celebrated by those who do celebrate it. Saturn has also been there for some time. And before I get into Mother Earth's message for us about the 13th gate and the gate of the climbing rose, I would like to share with you just a little bit about the energies between now and then, since I am making this a week and a half early or so before February 2nd. Hopefully you'll find it closer to that time. I did in last week's video also give you a little bit of an update on an energy shift that occurred in the past week. And this relates to that a little bit as well. I may have spoken just a little bit too soon because I was speaking in particular about how the channel, the 2461 channel, which connects the crown and third eye centers, also known as the head and ajna centers in human design, has been defined for a couple of months now, and it's finally not defined, at least with conscious definitions. Those are the black if you look up a chart and look at it. Although the unconscious will last for some time, and that's the red. However, even the conscious is coming back soon. So you may already know that Mercury has gone retrograde. It went retrograde this past week. And Venus has been retrograde since approximately the end of December. Venus takes longer in its retrograde phase, but also does not go retrograde as often as Mercury does. So Venus will be turning direct at the end of this month, January 2022, and Mercury will be going direct, stationing direct, as we say, at the beginning of February. So the way this relates to that 2461 channel is that it was Pluto that was defining the 61st gate, and then it was actually also Venus. That's where Venus stationed retrograde. We say stationed retrograde and stationed direct because it doesn't just, bam, start going the opposite way, on a dime. It takes its time. It's really slow in those gates where it's stationing either retrograde or direct. And so it's Venus spent a good amount of time in that 61st gate at the beginning of this month. Now it's retrograding. It'll go direct at the end of January, and then it'll finally come back forward through that 61st gate at the end of February. Meanwhile, Uranus is staying in the 24th gate for a while longer as well, and has been. Also, Mercury is stationing direct in the 61st gate as well. And as I mentioned, it's stationing direct at the beginning of February. And again, with that station action happening, that slowness, it's going to take its sweet time in the beginning of February and not leave it until the 10th. Then Venus goes through it on the 23rd, and also Mars is actually going through it starting on the 22nd, and Mars moves more slowly than Venus also. So it won't be until March where we will be free of the conscious sort of fixation on the crown and third eye centers, as I like to call them. And that's also enhanced by the fact that there is no defined channel connecting the third eye to the throat. When there's that connection, in addition to the definition up there, it does help a bit. It helps that flow. It helps it to keep it in balance. And so you have to seek out those connections a little more consciously and with more focus in order to do that when the transits are not doing it for you. As I mentioned, last week, I have been struggling a little bit myself because I do not have that connection defined in my birth chart. I have one gate, but it's not currently connecting with the gate at the other end, creating a channel, any of those channels, those three. Also, the connection, the channel that I had also spoken about last week that had been defined by Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, the 2034 channel. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it will continue to be defined unconsciously with the red for a couple more months at least. And so we're not completely free of it even at the end of February necessarily. It's just not quite as intense. And we may begin to more master it and find ways of staying in the flow even while those transits are happening. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share about that. So let's get to the message from Mother Earth about the climbing rose gate, the 13th. Close my eyes, take a few deep breaths. Join me if you'd like. Hello, this is Gaia. To share with you about the climbing rose gate, the 13th gate, we would like to use an illustration that we perhaps have not fully used before, but which is alluded to very well with the image of the climbing rose in association with gate 13. This gate, as is known in human design, is part of a collective channel and is associated with the right brain. Amy did do a video about this aspect last year, although it may be hard to find since she did not repeat it, that concept. But it illustrates the way that the collective channels begin in the human design chart, on the side associated, in this case especially, on the right side of the brain, from the crown to the third eye, and then as they emerge from the third eye center to the throat, they flip over to the left side of the body, similar to the way your nervous system connects from the right side of your brain to the left side of your body. The only difference being that at the root chakra, between it and the sacral center, they flip back over again, as though to illustrate that we have a second brain in many ways at the base of our bodies as well. This is but one illustration, but it does convey a truth. That other truths may be conveyed through other illustrations, constructs, if you like to call it that. There are other centers of intelligence, and there are these channels, these meridians that connect them. Many different languages in your cultures speak to this concept in various ways. And yet the truth always lies just beyond those words. The words point the way. We reside in that place of the truth, and so the words do not always come so easily for us. We know that when Amy shared about these collective channels and how they run across the body, up and down the body, she mentioned the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna channels. The Sushumna is the easiest for us to remember, as it is the one that goes straight up and down the center. But the other two get mixed up, similarly to the way that they flip sides in your own bodies. In this way, they also somewhat represent the double helix of the DNA. And this is a concept that if we've mentioned it, it was very briefly and not often. The I Ching we have mentioned, the 64 hexagrams, are a direct parallel to the codons that refer to your genetic system, your genetics, your DNA. And so this is not such a stretch beyond that. But we would like you to embrace the soft, more feminine nature of this gate in contemplating this concept. All three of these channels can be seen as connected to the concept of Kundalini. The concept and the reality of Kundalini energy, rising from the spine, rising from the base of the spine, for which snakes have also been used as an illustration. To simplify it as much as possible, we invite you to simply allow the flow of these two energies to dance within you, up and down your bodies, making those connections, allowing your DNA to flourish, allowing balance to occur naturally, even during the flux of it all. The 13th gate speaks very much to those who listen, those who can fully receive the gifts that are offered to them every step of the way, through opportunities, through giving from others, as well as through challenges. You do not have to accept the energy that is given at every moment, at every opportunity. You may say no. And while some of you may not associate saying no with a feminine energy, it is absolutely within her purview. To do so. As you dance through life, you simply listen for the messages, first and foremost, coming from your own body. And in today's world, with technology and screens so prevalent, there is a tendency, even through all that connection, to grow stagnant, to sit, to have your head down. And this is still a place where it is possible to listen, but it is not the most conducive. The most conducive way to listen is with your head up. Where you are looking at another's face, perhaps, or the faces within the flowers. Where your breath flows freely, and where the dance begins to interact with others. When you listen, you find ways where you're not colliding. You are simply going with the flow of the dance. Giving, taking, receiving. In this way, the yeses and the nos can all lead to more dancing. The nos don't mean that the dance stops. They just mean moving in different directions. And so, like the climbing rose, you can always find a way to move up and grow. We thank you so much for joining us. Namaste, beloveds. I hope you enjoyed this 8-part series of the Gates of the Diamond Heart. I expect I will be doing another series, which will be associated with another of the centers, the 9 centers, but not right away, most likely. I think I may stick to, at least for a little while, a few weeks maybe, doing live channeled messages without a preset topic or subject. At least for a couple weeks, probably. I guess that's about it. If you would like a human design reading from me, I do have a slightly different take on it than a lot of other people. But if you like these videos, I think you'll like my version of them, of those readings. My website is amycarynjohnson.com, and just look at the YouTube for the spelling there. The only one spelled a little differently is Caryn, Caryn. And with that, I will give you the second half of the poem. The delicate petals open in welcome, while the hips enrich and nourish. The canes grow up and out and entwine, the image of fellowship and flourish.